สวัสดีครับ welcome back to another video on the much anticipated 173. We are less than 30 days away from the event, and it is right about time that I actually talk about some title matchup. So in this video, I will be looking into a really interesting fight between the man who is called a bug in the system, Nabil Anane, and the general leading one championship UK army, Jonathan Haggerty. Also, I have already gone over the brawl of the kicking machine, Yuki Yosa vs Superleg, and the crash of the 3-spot queen and crusher queen, Stem Fatex vs Kana Morimoto. So if you are interested in those fights, do check them out in my channel. Anyway, the spotlight for this video is going to be on Nabil Anane and Jonathan Haggerty, so let's get started. First of all, I want to go over the obvious fact here by looking at their stat. Nabil Anane is called a bug in the system for a reason, standing at an impressive 193cm tall, aka 6'4". He is way taller than Haggerty, who stand at 170cm tall, aka 5'6". In the bantamweight division, Haggerty fall right in the average height, which is why Nabil being 23cm taller put Haggerty in an extremely disadvantageous position. Nabil also have the edge on his side by being just 21 years old, while Haggerty is 28 years old, which is also why in terms of experience inside the One Championship, especially if you discount one Friday fight, Haggerty will have the slight edge here. We all know that Haggerty has been fighting here for a really long time, facing lots of tough opponents like Rotang, Nong O, and Superleg, but Nabil have also defeated high-level fighter like Nico Kylo and Superleg here before. Also, I do believe that he defeated Ilyas Enaishi. It was ruled as a no contest for a really obvious and painful reason, but by how the fight was going, it was clear that Nabil was on the path to winning that one. So anyway, I kind of have a belief that everyone is going to assume that Nabil is probably gonna win this fight. He seemed to be unstoppable at the moment. So this video is going to be a little bit more heavy on Jonathan Haggerty's side. I want to explore as much possibility as possible on what can Haggerty actually do to best Nabil Anane. So I will start off by talking briefly about both fighter style before discussing the possible strategy. Starting off with Nabil Anane, he is a really complete fighter, using all the weapons of the 8th limb. Notably, he had hand combination from the long range, showing good accuracy and power. His kicks are tricky and dangerous with his taekwondo background. And lastly, his knee used the height advantage that he have perfectly. He can easily target the opponent's head and deliver some devastating damage. What we normally see from Nabil is that he have a good back feet game, able to control his range with backward movement, firing out spear-like punching combination, and kick to all level. However, he has also been showing more of his speed and footwork, especially in the latest kickboxing fight against Enaishi, which make him even more scary. If the opponent decides to get close to him, he always have the trusty clinch game to rely on. The tall frame and the long arm allow for a really effective clinching game. He can throw knee up to the head level, and his long arm just clamping onto the opponent from the above position make it really difficult for his opponent to retaliate inside the clinch. In addition, Nabil has also shown some good elbow game inside the clinching range, which is another thing that everyone have to be worried about facing this man. And it seemed like people start to fully hop on Nabil train after the fight with the King of the North, Nico Kylo. After that, he took revenge on Superleg and have an amazing performance against Enaishi. But let's just play some devil advocate here. One could argue that Nabil's rise to success is not yet perfect. Sure, he beat lots of strong fighters in and out of the ranking, but when he finally get to challenge the top champion and strong title contender, it was a little bit grey. Nico Kylo was dying from the weight cut, Superleg was half of himself, and Enaishi, well, he got sent flying by a groin kick. And maybe there's a universe where the kick didn't happen and Enaishi calf kick start to take effect on Nabil somehow, even though I don't think that is happening. But there's an argument that Nabil haven't have a 100% clean win against any of these top tier fighters yet, which is why when Jonathan Haggerty come into the conversation, you cannot discount him, since he is now the only one in the division that can have the best chance of chopping down Nabil Anane. And it's also a really good chance for Nabil to solidify his position as the king of bantamweight, especially since Haggerty is also the one holding the bantamweight kickboxing belt. So now, why don't we talk about Haggerty Muay Thai style? The general is an orthodox technician. In a longer range, he can play the game of distance control, going for a variety of kick to all level as he switches around his stance, creating opportunity for switch kick or to close the distance. His head kick is dangerous from both sides, especially with the way he likes to switch his stance around. It is really difficult to tell which kick he's trying to throw. It could be a tip, head kick, body kick, leg kick from any side. When going for the leg, he will aim lower than a traditional Muay Thai fighter, almost like a calf kick. He likes to target the knee and below area, which is something that hasn't shown to be super effective yet since his diverse range of weapon kind of overshadow this kick. But I do want to mention this one since I believe that it is a really good weapon option against Nabil, which I will talk about that later. Next up, one of Jonathan Haggerty's signature is his speed and his hand. He is known for closing the distance with bursts of hand combination and having the ability to stand and bang with hand and elbow inside his high guard against heavy puncher like Felipe Lobo. Overall, what makes Haggerty such a dangerous fighter is his variety of technique, speed, and solid weapon. But going against someone like Nabil, Haggerty's usual style might not work. On the outside, you can just forget about the high kick. The chance of actually landing a head kick on Nabil is really little, especially if you want to land that kick with any substantial power behind it. That's not really an option. In terms of kicking, I believe that the best kick arsenal that Haggerty can use against Nabil will be the calf kick. We already see Haggerty putting in work kicking below the knee area against people like Globo. On the other hand, the only person that have tried to target Nabil long calf is Enahashi. Since the fight ended early, we did not get to see the full effect of those kicks yet, and it is definitely an area that could be explored. With the way that Nabil throws his punch, especially his jab cross, he lowers his body down, often widening up his stance, making the lead leg extremely far away from his body. This would give Nabil a better punching angle and increase his reach by almost matching the eye level with his opponent. It could also work against him as it also creates a easy target for a calf kick. But also, Nabil kind of already know about this. We have seen him efficiently move his leg away from Enahashi calf kick in the previous fight. But again, a decent amount of them did land on Nabil, and in my opinion, it should still be worth it to invest in those calf kicks. And also, this is just my makeup theory. I got a sense that since Nabil have a tall and skinny frame, making his calf not having much muscle and fat in them, maybe that could mean that he is more susceptible to taking damage in the small muscle area of the calf. But really, I have no idea about the science behind that, so let's just move on to other aspect. Why not take a page from the Iron Man? When Nabil was still in flyweight, when Rotang is the king, there was a lot of people asking the Iron Man the tough question, and some even still asking this question after Nabil have moved on to bantamweight, which is how would Rotang beat Nabil? Every time he would say the same thing, that he would put as much pressure as possible and to not allow Nabil an opportunity to strike back or escape, which does make perfect sense. Most fighters that fight Nabil have the same idea of creating as much pressure as possible and trying to get him on the inside. But as you already know, none of them have much success. The reality is that Nabil backfeed game is really hard to crack, and with his newfound confidence and power, beating him is harder and harder day by day. But this doesn't mean that Haggerty should not try to use one of his best weapons, which is his hand. If Haggerty can use his speed and technique, let's say something like faking a kick to close a distance and start throwing bomb on Nabil, there might be a chance that Haggerty could do some real damage, whether it's gonna be to the head or the body. There is also the factor of the fight taking place in a cage. The wall should allow Haggerty to close the distance on Nabil and possibly force his hand on him easier, since Nabil won't have the flexibility of the rope to lean on. But in terms of Nabil, he can also use the circle cage to go around the ring. Throwing rangy strike make Haggerty have some tough time closing the distance, making the fight a lot more difficult for Haggerty. Also, if Haggerty goal was to go on the inside, he cannot get clamped down by Nabil clinch. Personally, I can only come up with two ways to deal with this. Either you lock Nabil up in a underhook, try to stall for separation every time the clinch happen, protecting yourself as much as possible, and just stall it out. Or you need to go in for a sweep immediately. The longer you prolong the clinch and allow space in the middle, the more likely it is that you will get a knee to the face or the body, which is obviously one of the most scary things that could happen to you when you're fighting someone like Nabil. So after everything that I have said so far, how do I feel about this fight? Honestly, I still believe that Nabil got so much advantage on his side that he is probably going to win. Not just the fact that he is tall, but also his own skill and ability to leverage his height to the point where I can't imagine how he can actually lose. But to give more point in favor of Haggerty, there's probably a reason behind Jonathan Haggerty's confidence that people on the outside like me wouldn't know. After all, he does seem to be really confident that he is the man who is going to be beating Nabil Anane, and I definitely would like to see an underdog and the general of the 1 UK army showing his plan in action in Japan. It's going to be David versus Goliath. Too bad Haggerty couldn't bring a sling or a stone to this fight, but deep down, I do want him to win. In the end, I like both of these fighters. It's hard to watch their paths collide, but as a fan, I can only hope for an amazing fight. That is everything that I have to say for this video. Next video, I will be taking a break from 1173 since I will be covering a fight that I'm really excited to see, the fight between the King of the North, Jon Snow, Nico Coelho, going up against the chef Luke Lacy. So like this video if you like it, subscribe for more, and I will see you next time.